There. All right. Okay, there. We are ready. All right, we are live as on your channel, my channel, and I guess I know YR's channel just as well there. All right, so good evening, everybody. This is Arknolia the Doctor, episode number 71 of our music memory series. And as another suggestion from Prince Idol, who won't be able to make it today, we're going to be taking a look at The Doors, the famous or infamous California, Los Angeles band that whose frontman Jim Morrison still remained one of
Yes.
the unique of his kind. There, I mean, he was very well known for being unpredictable at most performances in the studio, you name it. There. And later on, we're going to be taking a look at something that I always wanted to know if, by chance, Jim Morrison maybe had a mental illness or something, because no other person often did the crazy shit that he did most times. Now, if you ever saw the movie The Doors from '91, directed by Oliver Stone, or if you read the book No One Here Gets Out Alive, there was this incident, I guess, where all friends was driving a car. They were trying to avoid a police car, and Morrison just got to grab hold of the steering wheel, and just drove right into the back of it.
Yep. Yep.
Yes, and of
Almost
course,
like he's almost like Ozzy Osbourne before Ozzy Osbourne in a
pretty
way.
much here. Yes, and we cannot
Did they do
forget.
some like indecent exposure thing on stage? Did he
Yeah,
do
that was in
something or
Miami, Florida. There, yeah, he
say
was
like I
like,
wanted to fuck your father, or
yeah,
didn't he say
or
he wanted to
fuck
fuck his father?
yeah, fuck
Yeah.
your mother. I want to fuck you. And he did that
God.
during the performance of at the Whiskey a Go Go, and immediately right afterwards they were fired. And we also cannot forget what happened with Morrison did after they were done recording their Essence classical, The End. Apparently, what it was is that hours after they were finally done with that track, they Jim Morrison apparently walked into the studio where they recorded and doused it with a fire extinguisher. So we got to definitely take a look at that. Those, if he possibly may have been had a mental illness or something like that, or because no other person would do such crazy shit like that, other than a Keith Moon or Ozzy, as you mentioned there. So it'll be interesting, to check out. Now we all know who the Doors were, and it was Jim Morrison on vocals, Ray Manzarek on keyboards, Robbie Krieger on guitar, John Densmore on the drums, and as we all know, they recorded their first album. It basically came out in '67. They followed it with Strange Days, Waiting for the
Yeah,
Sun, and
yeah, and
lot.
I bought that first album when it came out.
Yeah,
Oh yes, I was around.
yeah, nice, absolutely. There, I was about, I believe, it was about 2 years old. I think, man, when that record came out. No, actually, 1 year old.
67?
No, actually, no, you're wrong. I was about 1 year old when that album came out. I was born the year before.
Oh, I don't think you were buying it.
No,
You know,
obviously because
I'm sure y'all seen the Doors movie with Val Kilmer,
Right.
right?
I think I haven't. I always saw bits and clips of it on when it was on TV there, syndicated TV, and
Listen, they usually have it in the $5 DVD bin at Walmart. It's
yes, I
in
know.
there.
Yeah, I know somewhere
Don't
there.
buy it, and it's good. But some people say like that, like Jim Morrison wasn't really like loosey goosey, like how they portrayed him in the
I
movie.
know.
Like
I know Ray Manzarek, who passed away, by the way, in 2013. You know, he spoke out heavily against the movie. He one time told a radio programmer, in a radio interview, that apparently he did try to give the right details about this and that, and of course Oliver Stone did not listen. But then again, you got to remember, that's how they try to hype the movie up to sell the product.
and Oliver Stone, that's a well-known movie maker, director,
Movie
whatever.
Draver, with the exception of Natural Born Killers from '94, almost every movie that he did was pretty much, based on '60s conspiracies, '60s stories. Like he directed the movie Platoon with Charlie
Yes.
Sheen. Yes, he also directed JFK from 1996 or 95 or 94 there. And also he he's always had a fascination with the 60s when you look at it there. He always had. I mean, like, cause obviously, let's also not forget he wrote the screenplay for a movie called Midnight Express, which was a bad, for I understand, about a drug dealer getting caught or something like that. I don't really know. I don't really know the full details of that movie, but apparently, it had something to do with the drug bust or something. There, I got to look it up on the Wikipedia sometime there. All right,
Okay, that first album, uh, Light My Fire, obviously was the one that really got me and turned
Yep,
me onto the Doors.
yep,
But also Break On Through and Backdoor Man.
yep. Willie
Oh yeah.
Dixon
And
cover.
then when I got the album,
Oh man.
the end caught me.
Yes. Yes, it was. It was a
Eat
very
your dinner, eat your pork and beans. I eat more chicken than any man ever seen. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
Willie Dixon tune there.
A really good one.
It is
Art.
absolutely.
Would that be considered a deep track of the Doors?
Something like a deep track that got radio airplay a few times back in the day there.
Yeah, Doors albums overall are very listenable. There's not any song on there you can go, oh gosh, I got to skip over this one.
Absolutely there.
I mean, this one had some real classics in a way.
It did.
I Looked at You, Take It As It Comes.
Soup Kitchen, Soul Kitchen, or what's it called? Soul Kitchen, I believe it was.
Soul Kitchen,
Yep,
and then Alabama Song or Whiskey Bar.
absolutely there. And of course, the other tracks like Take It As It Comes.
Yeah, my favorite track on this album, once I got the album, listened to the whole thing, is The End.
Yeah. That's the one that gets you the most because it was about 11 minutes long, which was unique at that time because usually,
There weren't many songs like that.
yeah, were. But here's something else. They had to, before FM radio, AM stations had to rely on the single version, which was way edited down. When FM came about, that's when the 7-minute version would be played.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about Light My Fire now.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't
Yeah,
think
they took out the little
solos.
middle part.
Yeah, the
solo
solos, Ray's solo and then Robbie's solo.
Yeah, and the first time I heard the whole thing, I was saying, what the heck is wrong with AM radio? Of course, I had an FM station near me that played started playing. It was an underground station. They played all this stuff like this.
Yeah.
Young Cream, The Doors, Grateful Dead, things of that nature.
Wow. I remember when I first heard Light My Fire, I think it was the edited version, the single one there. So when I listened to the Ray FM station, they started playing the whole album version. I was like, wow, this is unique. I didn't know these existed in there.
Yeah. A lot of songs with that way,
Yo,
though.
Brown, was it the Ed Sullivan Show where they banned?
Yes, it was. Yeah, apparently, yeah,
and the Beatles?
yeah, it was. They didn't want him to say Crowley couldn't get much higher because to them it was like a drug reference there, and
And they told him to change it. He refused, of course, and just went ahead and sang it.
Yep, and then that's when they were. And Ray, according to Ray Manzarek, the guy was almost in tears. It's like, oh, you promised you wouldn't say higher on the show. You promised. And they were told not to come back onto the program. That would be their only appearance.
Next album, which of all their albums is actually my favorite, Strange Days.
Yeah, the second record, the one with that's the one with Hello, I Love. No, that's Waiting for the Sun, I believe. Yeah, that's
no. Well, yeah, Waiting for the Sun had Hello. Right.
Yeah. Okay, there.
But this one had Strange Days, which great song.
Yeah, which
Your
is
Lost
good.
Little Girl.
Yep. And I remember there was an industrial cover of the title cut there. I forgot who did it, but I remember hearing it a few times and at the City Club in Detroit there. And when I heard the Doors version, I was like, oh, now wow, wow, interesting there. Wow. One of those
Yeah.
unique moments there that you have.
And then they did Love Me Two Times was another single. Did
Absolutely.
quite well.
They did, absolutely.
Unhappy Girl.
Yeah, because I remember I had that yeah, that's the girl who, I guess, the story about a girl who was supposed to get married, but unfortunately something happened along the way, I guess.
Yeah. And then an interesting little piece called Horse Latitudes,
Mm.
which, if you read about it, is an actual thing that exists.
Mm.
Ships back in the old days, everywhere they went, they carried their horses.
Yeah.
And when they reached the still of the sea, they started tossing the horses overboard,
What?
which is, yeah, that's what the song's about. Listen to the words.
Wow. Nowadays, you do that shit, you get all the attacked left and right by all these animal rights activists.
Well, they were doing it to lighten the ship so it would sail.
Oh my gosh.
But again,
But still,
it's a cruel thing to do.
it is cruel. I mean, come on, man. Couldn't at least just come up with a separate
Yeah.
ship to put the horses on there and tag them which one belonged to who?
But it was the first instance of him doing some of his poetry, because this is a poetic piece.
Yeah.
And like I said, listen to the words. They're talking about tossing them overboard and
Wow.
watching them drown.
Wow, man, that is a trip because horses, I understand, don't really swim, if I correct.
No.
Wow, that's crude, man. That's fucking crude, Wow.
Yeah, then they followed that up with Moonlight Drive, which is
Oh,
a
yeah.
great little song.
Yeah, and interesting. We all know the story behind that song. Apparently, there was a more. Apparently, that was written before they started becoming a band. Apparently, more they were then. I guess they were in college. I guess some sort of school. Ray was doing some time off there. Jim Morrison was supposed to go somewhere, but he decided to stay. He met up with Jim. Then those two met up, said like, no, and he showed the lyrics to Moonlight Drive, and Ray was entranced by what he had heard, and that's when they decided to put it down on music there.
Yeah. Then side two started with People Are Strange.
Oh yeah, by the way,
Great song.
great song, which kind of makes sense, when you think about it there, especially in today's strange times with all the people with the multiple piercings, dudes with pink hair, which I've seen at the mall a couple of times.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if you're a guy, if you're trying to trying to get laid, pink hair ain't gonna cut it.
Well, I don't know. In some cases, it probably works.
Yeah, but then again, the chicks who go for them, probably one of those SJW queef bags.
Yeah. Then My Eyes Have Seen You.
Mm-hmm.
I Can't See Your Face in My Mind. And then it closes out with not only my favorite song on this album, possibly my favorite Doors song, When the Music's Over.
Yep, absolutely. And that, by the way, that featured one little piece called that one lyric, cancel my
Subscription to the
resurrection.
reservation.
Oh, I thought it was a resurrection.
You're right.
And I guess that caught a lot of flack from various church groups around the area there because of that.
Yeah. Then they followed up with another album I like really well.
Waiting for the Sun.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good song. Good title track there. An interesting album piece here now I wanted to bring up. The Celebration of the Lizard. This was supposed to take up all of side 2 of that whole album, but yet there was I guess there were a lot of issues going on with that, so they took some of the tracks that were supposed to be on that piece there, and they decided to just put it on the album with some other new tracks that they recorded there. They reserved the celebration. They reserved the Celebration of the Lizard for their live performances. In fact, Absolutely Live has that whole piece all together there with all the tracks included on there, including Not to Touch the Earth.
Yeah, that the lyrics are on the the fold out.
Yes, the Gateful.
The entire lyrics to Celebration of the Lizards there.
Yes. Hmm. Yep. And that's where I guess, where Jim Morrison got the nickname the Lizard King. I am the
Yeah,
Lizard King. I could do anything.
yeah. This album opened with "Hello, I Love You," which we talked about a minute ago.
Yep.
That's probably their biggest, outside of "Light My Fire." That's probably one of their biggest singles.
Yes. I remember The Cure did their version for Elektra Records' 40th anniversary many years ago there. I remember hearing a version of that on the Canadians underground station there.
Yeah. Then "Love Street," not to touch the earth, which
Yep.
that song is a fun listen because it ends with there's a name for them. I call them discordant
Mm.
chords. They're chords, but they're
Abstract?
abstract. But there's a word for it. I just can't remember what it is. I want to say discordant, but that's not it.
Okay.
But it ends with some really strange chords.
I see there.
But it's cool.
Yeah, it is. Oh. But that's what made the Doors unique, in a lot of ways. They were
Yeah.
they're trying different things out where everybody else wasn't.
Then they had Summer's Almost Gone.
Which is basically what it is here in Texas. Because if
Yeah.
you've ever been outside, it was windy as hell out there.
Wintertime Love. And then a kind of a controversial song in a way, The Unknown Soldier.
Oh my God, that was a freaky one right there, man. Very
Yeah.
freaky one to listen to there. The march, Morrison acting out as a commander, shooting him point blank range. Which kind of basically had an anti-war feel to it, which many regular programmers couldn't really play because it was considered a little too dark and a little bit too weird.
Yeah.
But definitely there was an aim at the Vietnam War going on at that time.
And the second side started with Spanish Caravan, which is a nice little song.
Hmm.
Then My Wild Love, which I believe the whole thing is a cappella.
Ah,
I'm pretty sure it is, actually.
oh, I got to look it up, man, and listen to it sometime.
It's, excuse me, interesting.
All right.
Then we could be so good together. Yes, the river knows.
Yeah.
And then what has become a tradition, their album, the last track is a
Art piece. I
arty
guess.
type thing.
Yes.
5-1.
5-1. That's where the Jim Morrison speaks the words, "No one here gets out alive."
Yeah.
And that's what's become the title of the book, written by Danny Sugarman.
And I believe it was also the title of one of their compilation albums.
I believe maybe so, 5-1 or 4-5. I don't know. There were so many compilation
No,
albums.
no one gets out of here alive. We'll get to it.
I know there were so many Doors compilations. Hard to keep track whether it's 13 or Weird Scenes from the Gold Mine or the
and while we're
Greatest
talking
Hits.
about it,
Yeah.
the remixes they did for the 40th anniversary.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't care for them.
I mean, I think I remember
I
hearing
like the original mixtures,
they're like the original mix of the end there. It has Morrison
especially
saying,
that
fuck,
song.
fuck, 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 fuck. And it was right there in the right there. It was played on the radio, believe it or not, a Canadian station during the daytime. Apparently, it's
But
allowed
I liked the version before the remix
Yeah.
because I think him doing that where he does it distracts.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. There, it's kind of sounds weird, but then again,
Yeah.
it's hard to. I guess you got the idea. Hey, let's remix and make it somewhat new again. Hey, let's add what this originally was supposed to have been in there. Let's add this in there. But the thing is, you're taking away the original essence, the original intensity of the track when you do that there. For
Right.
example, I spoke about this before. Raw Power by Iggy Pop and the Stooges. The original done by David Bowie, massively big. Yeah, it may have been screwed up recording wise, it may have been a mixed up album, but still, it had that power. It had that intensity. I used to listen to that record on one of my old record players and with my old pair of headphones, vintage headphones, I should say. There, I was like, man, the sound of James Williamson's guitar, phenomenal. Just the sound alone was
Yeah.
attractive to me to that album there.
Sometimes though, when they do remixes, they do a good job,
Hmm.
but a lot of times it doesn't sound right.
Well, if I were to remix the remix Raw Power, for example, I would have the bass a lot more up there. I have a lot more treble going up there. If I had a chance, I would possibly do some remix Bill Ward's drums on Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, because if you listen to that whole album, it's hard to hear his snare drum on the title cut, let alone a couple other tracks there. But it would be nice to hear how the snare drum on the title cut there a few times, or let alone hear some of the drums in general, whether it's the hi hat or the bass drum.
Yeah. Then we followed it up with Soft Parade,
Ah,
which was another album I really liked.
mm-hmm.
Tell All the People, and then another hit single, Touch Me.
Yeah, and which had that Vegas feel to it there.
Shaman's Blues, Do It,
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Easy Ride.
Yep.
And then they opened up side two with Wild Child
Mm.
and Running Blue, which almost sounded country.
Oh.
Oh, poor Otis dead and gone, left me here to sing a song.
Mm.
Pretty little girl with a red dress on, poor Otis dead and gone.
Uh,
Have you not heard that song?
I don't think I have heard that. I remember seeing the record. Remember, I only had a few. Only had a. I only had basically the first record there, and I would
Oh,
listen to the radio a few times for the other tracks, whether it's "Waiting for the Sun," "Hello, I Love You," "When the Music's Over," this song or that song.
well, Running Blue was played on the radio.
Oh, nice. Probably I would probably when I was in probably not when I in the area that I lived, probably in different states, I guess.
Possibly, I don't know.
Yeah, possibly, yeah, because I've never heard about that piece until now.
And then Wishful Sample,
Mm,
and then their typical album closeout long song,
yes.
The Soft Parade.
The title cut there. I guess the record label decided either it was the band's decision to leave the experimental stuff as an album closer, or it may have been the record labels. Noting how much controversy the end got them.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
very likely so.
yeah. Now, of course, we are going to move on to Morrison Hotel, if I'm correct.
Yeah, and that was kind of a departure, but it was still good.
Yeah, it was.
I
It
mean,
went.
it's,
It went back. It went towards the more blues track right there. It went more the more bluesy stuff that they kind of grew up with.
yeah,
This one would of course include Roadhouse Blues, whether they're essential classics as well. There.
yeah, and it had, hang on, I'm
Go
having
ahead.
trouble
All right, go ahead.
maneuvering here.
All right.
But yeah, it opened with Roadhouse Blues. No, it didn't. Yes, it did.
Oh,
Then Waiting for the Sun, You
waiting
Make
for
Me Real.
waiting for the Sunday. They redid that song again, or was it taken from the last record?
This is the album was on originally.
Oh.
Waiting for the Sun was the album title.
Ah, I see there. I got mixed up there. Same thing we did with Zeppelin did with the album Houses of the Holy and the song Houses of the Holy after the Houses of the Holy album came out.
Right. Then you got You Make Me Real. And then a song I'm pretty sure that you can, well, I don't know what the word relate to is what I'm trying to say here. Peace Frog.
Peace Frog. Hmm. And this is a song about peace, I understand, because of the title.
Yeah, pretty much. But I just thought you'd find it interesting the word frog in the title.
Oh gosh. Oh, that makes sense now. Yeah. Well. Uh,
Then they followed up with Blue Sunday, which actually is kind of connected to that song.
ah.
Then Ship of Fools. For second side had Land Ho, The Spy, Queen of the Highway,
Yep.
Indian Summer, and Maggie McGill.
And there was no long pieces on this album, if I
No,
understand, right?
not really. They departed from that for
Um,
some reason.
well, they did.
Maybe they make it up for it the next album.
Yeah. I think what it was is that after a while you just get tired of doing the same old. You know, there was I remember hearing the story that Morrison was getting very frustrated with being, people asking him to do Light My Fire all the time and all the hit songs. You know, like
Yeah,
I guess one time he asked the crowd at one show, "What do you want to hear?" He all yelled out, "Light my fire!" But instead, they decided to do the whole celebration of the lizard piece from start to finish.
yeah. I was always a fan mainly of deep cuts for the most part anyway,
So
because I
my
figured, whatever you hear on the radio, you can hear anytime.
absolutely
So
and
I wasn't real worried
non-stop
about it.
and for eternity as well. There.
Yeah. Okay, LA Woman.
Oh yeah, This was actually the last record for the band. Their contract with Elektra, their longtime label, was inspired after this one. And this is when Jim Morrison started changing his look. He was starting to put on a lot more weight. He had grown a beard, and this was after I believe after the Miami incident, if I understand, where apparently the story was um, he got up. Apparently said it was this was recorded on the bootleg and he said it out loud, you're all a bunch of fucking idiots. Maybe you like having your face down in the shit. I mean, he basically was tolerating, he was condemning his audience for, I guess,
Yeah.
for being sheep, for I understand. And basically this was also the performance, if I remember, where he almost exposed himself. Do you want to see my cock? And I guess all the people started saying, oh, went wild after that. And he was kind of like, according to Ray Manzarek, trying to tease him a little bit there, trying to tease that there. And of course, he ends up getting busted by the Miami police for obscene stuff there. And there was a possibility that the trial was going to be coming up soon there.
Yeah.
He was facing jail time.
Yeah, and it's funny because there was on the Absolutely Live album, I don't remember what song it's part of,
Yeah.
but there's a bit there where it said, I forget exactly how he said it. It was something like, you folks want to see something or something like that.
Oh.
And of course the crowd goes nuts and he says, oh, no, not here, not here.
Oh
Or
yeah.
something like that,
Oh yeah.
which was an obvious reference to Miami.
Absolutely there. And for I understand, they got banned from a lot of cities.
Yeah, for the most part they did.
Yeah, apparently what there was, according to Manzarek, they was actually going to do a tour. What they did in the past is they were billed at this day, this gig at this place there, this gig here for about either a week or two there. They was going to actually do a tour, and they found out the news that a lot of the cities had prohibited them from performing there because of the Miami. Because
Yeah,
people were
which is kind
becoming,
of,
which kind of makes, well, when you think about it, when you have a front man who was out of control like he was, it's going to be reluctant to build them there because who knows what's going to happen to your venue or the people who attend there. Like back when the Two Live Crew remember the Two Live Crew? They were supposed to do a show at Harpo's Concert Theater, and apparently what it was is that the mayor of Detroit, Coleman Young, requested that they not perform there. And at the my
Yeah,
at
it's
the,
kind of funny when you think about how people were reacting to the Doors
yeah,
and the possibility,
yeah.
and then you see things like the Red Hot Chili Peppers coming out with their socks.
I know, socks and nothing
It's
else on. And Flea, their bass player, coming out playing Woodstock '99 and they're completely in the nude.
yeah, it's kind of like, boy, times have changed.
I know, absolutely there. But then again, you got to remember when you have a band that's controversial, whether it's The Doors or Black Sabbath or Alice Cooper at the time, people were very worried about him. He one time said in an interview that mothers still often hide their babies from him at times when he's in a go before he gets onto the airport there.
Yeah, yeah. And his stage shows were something else.
Absolutely there. Of course, now it's all tame and stuff like that since he's a born again Christian there, but people
Yeah,
were really were afraid of this guy for a long while back then.
yeah. I remember back in the day when they played there used to be something called Don Kirshner's rock concert on at
Yes,
night.
yes, I remember. Yes,
They they played one of his shows. Are you familiar with the song Killer?
yes, I am.
Yeah, at the end of the song, they actually walked him up a flight of stairs
Yep.
and simulated hanging him.
Ah, yes, I remember that story. In fact, there was even I remember seeing the poster for that album that came with the album in there, and it had kind of had that image right there, man.
Yeah, I mean that was a spooky moment.
Oh man, holy
When I
cow!
saw that on TV, I was like, "Holy cow!"
Yeah,
Because they televised it apparently without watching it ahead of time.
absolutely. So they were uninformed of what was going to go on there. So like, holy cow! You can imagine what the TV guys at the booth there were thinking. Oh shit! What did we not do here? And some
Yeah.
bonehead and somebody's trying to call me, and they're not going to get through because it's a scam ass. So long, sissy.
Okay, on LA Woman,
All right.
you had The Changeling, Love Her Madly, another single,
Mm-hmm. Good song there.
Been Down Too Long, Cars Hiss By My Window. And I guess this was their long closer from the previous album they didn't do, LA Woman.
Oh yeah, their love song to L.A. there.
Yeah. Then the second side opened with L'America, Hyacinth House, Crawling King Snake,
Yep.
The Wasp, Texas Radio, and the Big Beat.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing that one time there.
And then to close out this album, they went back to a long song, Riders on the Storm.
Yes, one of the classic pieces right there. And it's no secret now that that track alone it was an inspiration for the movie The Hitcher, which originally first came out in 1984, starring Rita
Yeah,
Halter, C. Thomas Howell, and Lee Thompson. Of course,
yeah,
it got remade, I guess in the early 2000s. I forgot who starred on that there.
yeah. And this was the last studio album that Jim Morrison was officially part of.
Yeah,
Then they had two more albums, which Other Voices, which had, I think, one good song on it.
yeah, and Full Circle. And these were the
Right.
ones without, as we mentioned, without Jim Morrison after his passing. They tried to go on as they were, but unfortunately, it just didn't lickety split. Needless to say, there.
Yeah, they tried to find a sound alike on that first album, Other Voices,
Yeah,
and that didn't work out well.
yeah,
And then they released another album, technically with Jim Morrison,
mm.
An American Prayer, which was poetry
Yeah.
set to music.
Yes, I had that. I had that on cassette there. That would also include the live version of Roadhouse Blues up there. I know that was taken from the Absolute Live album, but I think it also included
It
another.
wasn't on Absolute Live.
Oh, it wasn't?
No.
Okay, so I may have been mistaken there, but that may have been a recording that they had stored up somewhere.
But that absolutely, excuse me, that absolutely live album was really good.
Mm.
And that was the one that had Celebration of the Lizard that you talked about earlier,
Yeah,
the whole thing.
the whole piece there, folks.
And they had 2 or 3 other live albums, but Absolutely Live was the big one.
All right.
And I was kind of glancing through the archive albums because there was 1 or 2 songs that showed up on one of them.
Yeah.
And they did have one called No One Gets Out of Here Alive.
All right. So I stand corrected on that there.
That might be the one that had those 2 songs. One of them's You Need Meat, Go No Further. And I kind of forgot the name of the other one.
Mm.
Let me see if I see it.
All right.
Well, apparently I clicked on their own album.
Oh.
I'm trying to find the compilation one that I was thinking of.
May have been the Doors' greatest hits. I know there have been so many box sets, compilations, greatest hits on the Doors. It's hard to keep track nowadays, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It would
Oh,
be.
well.
It would have been nice. It would have been nice. To have something different, like unreleased recordings or demos that they were recording while recording these albums. But unfortunately, there is none so far. Now we also got to get to the supposed reunions that they did. They had originally it was what they did is they did the VH1 Storytellers where they had guest artists like Perry Farrell from Jane's Addiction, Ian Asbury from The Cult, and a couple others there singing the various Doors songs there. And I guess they decided, hey, let's get Ian Asbury to do this supposed relapse tour, not a reunion. Now, Densmore wasn't able to. Apparently, he was going to take a part of it, but unfortunately, for some reason, he was replaced with somebody else. They were supposed to also get Stuart Copeland from the Police on the drums, but that didn't go out too well there. Apparently, Densmore opted out because of hearing issues there. So they decided to call the Doors of the 21st Century. And then later changed and decided to go with Riders of the Storm, a review of the Doors music there. It was just basically Krieger and Manzarek with a whole bunch of different musicians as well.
Yeah, but if you don't have Jim Morrison,
It's
it's just not the same.
It's not the same, no, unfortunately, folks. Which is
Well, I
kind
did
of
find the album, I think.
all right there.
Weird Scenes Inside the Gold Mine.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that a while back there.
And one of the songs that's on this album wasn't any other. Who Scared You?
Mm.
And then the one I said a minute ago, You Need Me, Go No Further.
Ah, interesting. Now, I mentioned this subject on the top of the program. Do you think possibly that Jim Morrison may have been mentally ill somewhere?
I'm not sure if that was the case. I just think he was a free thinker.
Mm.
I don't know if he was actually mentally incapacitated or he just thought differently from the rest of us.
Maybe so there.
Because a lot of times people that don't think like everybody else
Yes.
is considered mentally ill, and that's not always the case.
Yeah.
Sometimes a person just thinks, a lot of times people were wondering if Albert Einstein was mentally ill. No,
No,
he was a genius.
Yeah. I mean,
He thought on a different plane than the rest of us.
All right. I'm looking at a thing there on a thing called Quora.com, and the thing was entitled, Was Jim Morrison, generally unstable here? And it's going to be popping up in a second here, taking the time there. I'm going to try to look up and read the bits and pieces of this article. Where the thing shows up.
If it's a typical Quora answer, it's pretty short anyway.
All right, there. Let's see here. There we go. Now we're ready. We can go there. Now, let's see. Was he unstable genuinely, or was it just part of his act, you know? Now, one person named Christine said, I think it was unusually smart, but became unstable because of the heavy drinking and the drugging. He left a beautiful legacy with his music and his poetry, though. He remains a rock and blues legend today. Yeah. It goes, and let's also keep in mind, Jim Morrison was a heavy drug user and a drinker at times.
Yeah, but that's kind of the way I thought it was he was just, and it's true with a lot of people that are at that genius level.
That's true there.
They other people just think, oh, he's nuts. He doesn't think like us.
Absolutely.
Well, the reason he doesn't think like you, he's way ahead of you.
Absolutely there. Now, person named David in this article, his reply is, quote unquote, I'm going to have to disagree. He was genuinely somewhat unstable and had a morbid fascination with death. Now, I'm not saying he was a total nut job by any means, but he certainly was a bit strange in the way he thought and acted, which is true there. Plus, he was fueled by the alcohol and the drugs, which we all know is going to make you do all the crazy shit that he did. I mean, like, look at Ozzy Osbourne. Whenever he was drunk or high, he did some crazy ass shit without thinking, including trying to strangle his wife and manager back in '88.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of that show he did for a while.
Yeah, the Osbournes.
Yeah, I saw a couple, 3 episodes.
Oh, I watched all of
whoa.
them. Watched all of them. Yeah, we all know he was drinking during that time. We all know now, but because people are taking little bits at him, thinking like, what's Ozzy saying here's a contest. What is Ozzy saying right now? Guess what he's saying, and you win a prize.
Yeah. I had a couple, 3 interesting shows like that.
Yeah, I know.
I watched a lot of the Gene Simmons one, Family Jewels?
Yeah, I remember. Yes, I mean that was on A&E there.
And then actually, he was quite a guy.
Yeah, he is. Give him credit.
His kids were something else.
Yeah,
they were cool.
Yeah, his wife, his daughter Sophie is beautiful. His son, forgot his name there. He's a musician just as well. As long as Evan Stanley, Paul's son there.
Yeah. But like I said, that show was interesting and actually pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
And the kids were cool. I liked them.
All right.
And of course, Shannon Tweed, who can go wrong with her?
Absolutely there. Now, I'm going to read on something here, back to Jim Morrison here. This is from Wikipedia Commons. Now, I don't know, this was verified by a thing called Psychologically Today. You know,
right.
the mysterious demise of Mr. Mojo Rising. What led to the premature death of Doors' member Jim Morrison? Here's what it says here. Let me pop this out of here. What are those security come-ups? Jim Morrison, the poetic, lyrical voice of the Doors, died at the age of 27 in Paris, France. On the group's next to final album, Morrison Hotel from 1970, before his demise, sounding like he just woke up this morning and got myself a beer. Morrison famously wails, the future's uncertain and the end is always near. Very existential stuff. Life is inherently insecure and death and ever-present eventually. Clearly, Mr. Morrison realized that these facts of life, but wonder what Morrison's state of mind was at the time he wrote those lyrics. Recorded the raunchy but rockin' Roadhouse Blues, and sometime soon after died of apparent drug and alcohol overdose. Has he succumbed to nihilism or critical despair? Was his slow death sort of a passive suicide, an escape from his angst, I guess. Accounts of Morrison's mental state during his 4-month retreat to Paris after leaving Los Angeles are varied and conflicting. There are some indications that certain letters that he wrote to friends and business associates that he was happy and optimistically planning a future life in that city. On the other hand, there are reports of very heavy alcohol abuse, excessive smoking, cannabis and regular cigarettes, erratic behavior, mood swings, and a possible near fatal drug overdose. And this is before his untimely death. According
Right.
to Sam Bennett, what's his name? My bad. Sam Burnett in 2007, a former New York Times reporter and French friend of Jim Morrison's. Um, Morrison died probably from respiratory arrest. Remember,
Yeah.
it was a heart attack in the bathtub there.
Right.
Apparently, it was a nasal heroin, overdose where he snorted it, I guess, in a notorious Paris nightclub. And his lifeless body was then moved to his apartment to avoid a scandal. This version of events clearly contradicts, but in some ways seems more credible, that the description of what happened to Jim's longtime girlfriend, Pamela Corson, who basically was his common law wife. She passed away years later, not too long ago. Um, she was a alleged heroin addict herself, who told police that they had spent the night together drinking, and that Morrison became quite ill during the night, vomiting blood, was discovered by her in the bathtub, fully clothed, deceased the next morning. In either case, the French police they suspected no foul play or evil deeds such as homicide being done. Corson herself reportedly died of a heroin overdose several years later in California. Whatever demons Morrison was trying to escape from in Los Angeles, including the appeal to his conviction, obscenity charges, and pending jail sentence, eventually accompanied him across the Atlantic, and pretty much like the glaring gargoyles atop of Notre Dame, were a constant presence in Paris. Towards the end, he was having serious health issues such as asthma, stomach ulcers, coughing up blood, and had gained a great deal of weight, becoming bloated and easily winded. Remember, he was changing his look a lot at times. Apparently, even though
Right.
despite doing that, he would walk down the street and girls would follow him because they would know who he was.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
Morrison has always been, according to friends, been obsessed with death, a very existential theme. Did he harbor an unconscious, death wish? Mortality is certainly one of life's uncertain, ultimate certains. Death anxiety rumbles constantly beneath the surface of consciousness, but is deliberately denied and avoided by most. But
Right.
proximately, chronic denial or evasion of death anxiety can lead to a morbid obsession regarding mortality. The article continues here with this last paragraph. Jim Morrison attained fame, money, women, artistic recognition, and admiration beyond his wildest imagination. But he rejected that celebrity existence in Los Angeles because he felt like he had lost himself, hoping to rediscover who he really was while living in Paris. It seems that he had become lost, ultimately hopelessly so. Morrison may have been in the thorns of a full blown existing crisis. A crisis of not only identity, but possibly of lost sense of meaning and purpose in life. Viktor Frankl referred to such a painful and disoriented state of felt, meaningless, purposeless, and existential vacuum. Morrison may have been running from this crisis by moving to Paris, where living in a foreign land led to a loss of familiar moorings, making his existing vacuum even more pronounced, disorienting, and disturbing. Moreover, he at that time had relinquished his musical outlet for his creativity. Remember, Pamela was so begging him to quit the music scene to become a full-fledged poet a couple of times there.
Yeah, which is
And
probably where American Bear came from.
absolutely there. Apparently, we know the story. We got to tell the story about that. Apparently, it was at his birthday. He walked into a recording studio and started with a couple of friends, a bottle of booze, and he started doing all his poetry all in one session. He acted out his poetry words very perfectly there. Now, let me continue with the article. And let's also not forget that his working relationship with the Doors were kind of like floundering as well there. He wanted to write more poetry solo, but although it was not clear he was going to do so. It may have been that Morrison fell victim to his nihilism, influenced perhaps by his favorite philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche. It's spelled Nietzsch, you know,
Nietzsche.
Nietzsche, I think it is. But it was also a condition that we could describe as clinical despair. And that's the whole article right there that I just read for you there. So it's kind of Morrison had some issues with his personality, with the fame that was around him.
Yeah, yeah. Is YR still here?
Yeah, let me ask you, still there, YR?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Nice,
Yeah.
Do
good.
you have a favorite Doors song or album?
I really like that Backdoor Man one, and then obviously the classics. Light My Fire, or Gone to the Other Side. Love Me Two Times.
Right.
But the Doors, I don't know about like 2021, but within the last 10 years, 15 years, they still tour as a group.
Mm.
Correct?
Well, they don't really tour as the Doors, as I mentioned, with some oddball reason. I know they were called Doors at the 21st century when they had
Wasn't it like the Doors of Perception was their new group?
something like that,
Yeah.
I believe so. But I know that they one time called them, Ray Manzarek and Robbie Krieger called themselves Riders of the Storm, doing the music of the Doors. If I'm, if I'm,
Yeah.
let's see there.
Well,
Where?
Doctor, what are your favorite songs and albums?
Well, my favorite songs and my albums. Well, my favorite songs have to be, of course, The End. Backdoor Man. Not to Touch the Earth. Of course, Riders of the Storm for the reason that I described, that had to do. There was inspiration for the Hitcher movie there.
Right.
You know, but I would really like to check out Celebration of the Lizard on that live album. Because I've been so intrigued by it. I've been absolutely intrigued by it.
Yeah, I don't know if you have that absolutely live
I
album.
never did.
That is really
I don't think I
that's a
really
good one to
did.
listen to.
Yeah, definitely. And of course the song "Strange Days" is a good one. I forgot which industrial group covered it, but I got to look it up on YouTube to see if I can. Probably look up "Strange Days" industrial cover. Because I remember hearing that a few times there. I just never got the lowdown of who does it there. I'm going to see if I could get Carlos Cabral on the line here.
And again, I'm going to mention, if you get a chance, listen to the lyrics of Horse Latitudes.
Yeah.
It'll creep you out.
Yeah, well, and it'll piss you off. If you love horses, you're not gonna you're gonna be pissed off when you listen to this song. We guarantee that, man. Let me see. Okay, I'm DMing Carlos Cabral on the live here because he called me last night, late last night, to something about this buddy of his named Kenny there. I'm going to try and get him on the call here. Let's
Oh yeah,
see.
Kenny, he's a good guy.
Yeah, so,
He's on my show a couple times.
Well, I guess Monday we'll have to do something different.
yeah.
I'm thinking we start going through prog bands. Well, I have an A to Z list.
Yeah.
We'll just start with A and go from there.
Yeah, good idea there, Okay.
And if we run across one that's worth expanding on,
All right.
we'll schedule a show for them.
Okay, yeah. So we'll do a part two if it goes a little bit, over the hour there. But let's see.
It will.
Oh yeah, well, oh yeah, absolutely.
What's up, Mike?
Keith, what up, dude?
Fixing to do Rat Maniacs for an hour or so before Mars goes live with Keith after this stream. So
Oh, Mars is going live tonight.
What's up?
Oh yeah, that's right. Dirty Rotten Podcast.
Thursday night.
Yeah, it's nice. Right, forgot. All right, there. I don't see Carl. I know Carlos said that he wanted to do something later on tonight, possibly. I get a hold of. I left a message with him because he spoke to me last night about their buddy Kenny there. Apparently, what it was that he was on this show talking about with this guy who goes by the name Tommy Guns about pedophilia there, and he was concerned. Carlos was concerned. Was anyone with a mental disability supposed to be on the show talking about that kind of particular subject?
I don't know.
I know. I never heard about this until now there, and Carlos was very concerned, about this. And I don't think Carlos is available at this moment there, so possibly later on he'll probably contact me, get this guy on there. So I'll have to wait and see there what goes on. So, Keith, do you have any favorite Doors tunes that you like?
Yeah, I like Light My Fire, and Light My Fire is the only song I know from the Doors.
Well, we made a list of the albums there you could find, if they have them, at the local record store. Definitely check them out there, whether it's used or new or whichever there.
Okay.
Okay, so now the question I want to ask, and this is separate from the subject there, do you think all these record labels should release the whole catalogs of every artist that's out there on vinyl now?
Not everything.
Yeah. And the reason I ask is because, at the Walmart not too long ago, I was asked to pick up something from them for my sister and brother-in-law. I noticed that there was not just, Hotel California, but there was a new vinyl copies of The Long Run and, One of These Nights. And of course included was these little tour passes, from that particular year. Eagles Live 76, 79, and 1980 there. And it would be nice for them to also remaster or reissue the Desperado album just as well there, or their self-titled album.
I want to say that's my favorite Eagles album, but yeah, I'll go along with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, for instance, too many times we see all these great 1 to 2 albums by the particular band with a whole bunch of compilations, greatest hits, and I think it's time they stop doing that. They should just release the entire catalog on vinyl. Because too many compilations kind of kill it. That song may be intense, but the whole album where that song came from is also intense as well. Let the listener feel that intensity.
And a lot of times record companies like to take a song and cut it.
Yep.
Oh, this is too long. Let's cut it down to 3.5 minutes.
I do that. But then again, as we met, plus record companies are more focused on the main stuff there, not the whole catalog.
Right.
Like, for instance, I would love, like we all talk, it would be good to see the Aerosmith catalog reissued and on vinyl currently, because I was tempted to buy a new vinyl pressing of Toys in the Attic, because I had the LP back in the 80s.
Yeah.
but I also like to but it would be nice to have to put out Rocks, Get Your Wings, Live Bootleg, Night at the Ruts, and of course the one that kind of like fizzled out in the 80s. Rock in a Hard Place, the one with Lightning Strikes on it.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have that there. All right.
Yeah, it'd be kind of hard to pick and choose individual albums out of a catalog
Absolutely.
and say, oh, I don't want to do this one or whatever from the record company's point of view.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, there are people out there that want the whole catalog.
Yeah.
Me.
And usually they would have to go to some used record shop like Car City Records in Harper Woods, Michigan, or Space City Audio by Old Town Spring.
Yeah.
All right, Brian. Well, me and Keith, we're gonna go ahead and get our show. We need to get an hour in before Mars goes live here. So,
All right,
you're
there.
gonna.
All right, there.
Well, we pretty much done anyway.
Yeah, we are definitely. All right, so this coming Monday we'll be exploring the A through Z list of prog rock bands. A couple we have already discussed will definitely be on this list here. There.
Yeah, and my guess is we won't even get through the B's.
That's right, because there's a lot of them out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Interesting names.
All right, there. All right, so for Arknolia, YR, Keith, and Arknolia, and myself, this is Arknolia the Doctor. You have a good, awesome Thursday evening.